Hello friends, my name is Jellybean. Welcome and thank you for clicking on this video. We're at the end of the week and what I'd like to do is just go through a few manga, manhwa, light novel, and maybe even a few anime updates from the week previous. At the end, I'll just go over what I read through the week and give the quickest of reviews. If you're interested in having a lengthier review on anything I'm about to go over, let me know. I'm happy to do so. Now, this past week, one of the first announcements I saw is the creator of Soloist in a Cage released a new manga February 3rd on Shonen Jump Plus titled Astro Baby. The story involves an unexplained cannibalistic disease, a town forced into lockdown, and a soldier returning home to see the woman he loves. I love Soloist in a Cage. It's one of my top 10 favorite manga, so I'm super excited about this one. I've already read the first chapter, and while yes, I do think Soloist in a Cage had a stronger first chapter, this was still very interesting. It does have the same feel as Soloist, involving a town that is on lockdown where no one is permitted to leave, but this is a very different story. We also got the first chapter of a new series that was released on Jump Plus and Manga Plus from the creator of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. The title is No Name, and it apparently won the first ever Gold Award for Manga Plus creators as a one-shot last year. Now, I did not watch Edgerunners. I've seen bits and pieces of it, I know how it ends, but I've never seen it fully, so I can't make any comparisons here. I did read the first chapter of No Name, and I really liked it. It's really set up this interesting world where your name is assigned to you at birth by the government and determines your power. Unfortunately, I do not have more information than that. I'm not sure what the release is looking like, but I really do like this one and do want to keep up with it. This week, Manta, a manhwa and webtoon reading app, launched a new novel section of their app so that there is a spot to read light novels of the manhwa available. Right now, there is not a lot of novel options, but it's a decent amount. It does give a sample of the story rather than a summary, and at the very bottom, they listed the comic versions of the novel in case you prefer to read that. Now, a negative I have is that this is using the system where you pay for each volume with gems, and each volume looks to cost around 35 gems. The reason I have an issue with this is because one of the reasons I love this app is because rather than paying for each chapter of a comic, you can pay a flat rate and have unlimited access to the entirety of their collection. There are different options to pay for unlimited access, so it just would have been nice if that was kept for the light novels. I guess the nice thing is that you're not paying for each chapter of the novel, like for instance the app Yonder, where you are given a few free chapters, then everything after that has to be unlocked, but instead on Manta it looks like you're paying for the full volume. My hope for this moving forward is that Manta adds more light novels and not just the ones that have comics on their app. The app Tapas, for example, has a large light novel section. There are many series on the app, and what they do is they have a few free chapters and the option to either purchase each chapter or use a wait until free WUF option, which allows you to unlock an episode for free every 3 hours and have it remain unlocked for 3 days. Any additional options to read light novels is great. I don't imagine Manta will change it much. I've had my membership for roughly 2 years now, and that hasn't changed much except for the additional payment options. It was also announced this week that the manga Boys Abyss would be ending this year. Now, I've not read this. I have been curious about it, so it currently sits pretty on my to-read list, but I have not picked it up. All I know about it is the summary: a teenage boy in a small town pretty much raising himself and looking after his grandmother. He feels like he's falling deeper into the abyss staying in this town when he suddenly comes across a pop star who offers him a way out. At the moment, there are 15 volumes of the series, 4 of which are available for purchase in English. I don't know the exact number of chapters currently for this series, but from what I can see, there is around 162 at the moment. There's also a live-action drama released in 2022. It ended with 8 episodes. A new One Piece light novel will be released in March, composed of short stories focused on the women of One Piece. This volume will focus on individual stories separate from the main story, with characters Boa Hancock, Tashigi, Reiju, Uta, Nami, and Robin. As of right now, I do not know if this novel will spoil any parts of the main story. Obviously, if you haven't made it to Whole Cake Island, you won't know who Reiju is, and then film Red, which I personally haven't seen, but it's been really hard to avoid anything about Uta. Okay, the last bit of updates get more into adult content. First, the BL light novel series You Can Have My Back is getting a manga adaptation in the May issue of the Kadokawa magazine. This novel involves a character who remembers his past life, the person he loved, and their individual fates. 3 volumes of the light novel are currently available, with one that's on pre-order. I'm not familiar with this series, so I can't say anything about it. I also don't know how explicit it actually is. I just have it here under the adult content news, as the book itself has an explicit content warning on the front. Then finally, the R18 novel I Am the Only One Who Is Not Attacked in the World Filled with Zombies was announced to be receiving an anime adaptation. This already has a manga adaptation with around 20 chapters, and I did read a few chapters to get an idea of what the story is. And yes, this is certainly explicit content. I won't lie, I'm curious to see how the anime will handle this. If you're unfamiliar with the story, just as the title says, a zombie apocalypse has occurred and the main character is the only person who is able to roam freely around without being attacked. This is more of a dark story. The main character is not a hero, he's barely a decent guy. For example, he's helping 3 siblings, but only if the older sister sexually satisfies him. And let's not forget, he had sex with a zombie in the beginning, who he tied up and brought to his room. I just want you to know what this story contains up front, especially if these are things you're not okay with reading about. Okay, so this week I did not read that much. Of course, I read the ones I already mentioned here, the first and currently only chapter available for No Name and Astro Baby, both of which had great starts setting up interesting worlds in their individual stories with a fairly unique concept for the plot. Then there was I Am the Only One Who Is Not Attacked in the World Filled with Zombies, an 18+ manga with the main character kind of doing the same thing as Akira in Psalm 100, in that he's just doing whatever he wants, except this main character is a lot less pure of heart. Outside of those, I did focus on some more romance stories. The first one was Wedding Strategy, which released this week on Webtoon with 10 chapters, 5 of which were unlocked and could be unlocked for a fee. This is a romantic comedy manhwa about 2 characters in a dating simulation. This was a very fun read. I do have a review video planned for it. The Crown Prince is Too Sweet to Me is a one-shot manga that released not too long ago. This was fine. It wasn't something that I went into expecting to be a great romance, but it was okay. While it did contain some sexual content, it wasn't very explicit. With my own personal basic rating system on a 5-star scale, 1 star being that I did not finish it and 5 being this is a favorite, I'd put it at about a 3 out of 5 star, meaning that it was just okay. These next 2 are absolutely 18+, very explicit manhwas. First, there is The Emperor is Hard to Please. This is a completed series, 29 chapters total, and is available on TappyToon. This story is wild. It had some very sweet moments that I was absolutely gushing over, while also having the most outlandish moments. Like, for instance, the Emperor being sucked off during a tea party and basically becomes a competition. I do plan to do a review of this, so for now I'll just say that the explicit level is pretty high, you're seeing everything. The smut level is also pretty high, though there is no actual smashing till the end. In terms of consent, I'd put this at more of a yellow. It's close to green, but there are some very questionable moments. BDSM is also present, though it's not a good example of it. A safe word is not at all present, which is one of the reasons I say it's questionable, and yes, there is sexual assault. My ratings for these types of stories is different, still a 5-star scale, but this time a 1 star is there is no plot, only sex, and a 5 star is the story could stand on its own without the sexual content. I put this one at a 4 out of 5 stars, meaning the story is pretty good, it could almost stand on its own, but the sex is still a big part of the story. Last, I read Quiet in the Office, an ongoing manhwa series on TappyToon with around 30 chapters. I have not read all the chapters just yet, but so far I am loving this story. This is about 2 office workers, one a CEO and the other an employee, who begin a sexually beneficial relationship with each other in secret. This story is so funny, so sexy, I just think it's a great read so far. I love these characters, I love their dynamic, and I love that they're still butting heads even while going at it, as they are not on friendly terms with one another. Since I haven't finished it yet, I can't really rate it, but if I were to right now, it would be a 5 out of 5 stars, as this story is pretty good so far, and I think this could exist without the sexual content, it's just there to enhance the story. It is pretty explicit, everything is shown. I'd also say that the smut level is at a medium, as not every chapter contains sex. In terms of consent, as of chapter 10, I'd put this in green, as these are 2 adult characters agreeing to this benefits arrangement. It may not be a fluffy, sweet, and loving arrangement, it's a purely physical arrangement, but they are in agreement for it. Anyway, that's all I have this week. I hope you got some useful information out of this video, and I hope that the short reviews were helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy readings, my friends.